This is part one of why the heck can't I lose weight? The year was 2021. It was a magical year. We had our youngest son who had just turned 1. Our oldest was about 7, and we've got 2 others in the middle. So 2021 was the year that we became a camping family. We got a COVID camper. Like many people did, we started camping. We became a camping family in 2021. We found this beautiful oasis, just this beautiful park to park it, and it's really like it's our happy place. The kids eat hot dogs cooked over the fire. We roast s'mores at night, all the things. But this is where it got a little squirrely for me in 2021. So this is about May. If you've ever used a toilet in a camper, you know that it doesn't fill up with a lot of water. You're like, where is this story going? But yeah, we're going to talk about camper toilets. So I go to the bathroom, and what comes out of me as I'm peeing is just blood. Red as red can be, blood. And the weird thing is that there was no pain associated with it at all. Like, I have had kidney stones before. With kidney stones, you know what's going on. It's a very distinct, blinding, writhing pain. With this, there was nothing, just blood. So I did what any normal guy would do. I ignored it for several months. And, as I mused about it in my head, I thought this could be something really serious. I need to go get this checked out and face the music. So I go see a nephrologist, and she does some blood work. So I go, your sugars are incredibly high. Has anybody ever told you you're diabetic? Like, no. In fact, I typically as an adult have eaten a ketogenic diet. I've got a lot of diabetes in my family. My wife actually was gestational diabetic. And so I would actually, we had monitors for blood glucose in the house, and I would monitor it fairly routinely as I was eating a ketogenic diet, just as curiosity, see what my blood sugars were doing. So no, nobody ever told me I was diabetic. This was brand new news. But it wasn't altogether crazy because I was feeling crazy levels of fatigue that year. I thought it was just like long COVID. I was feeling just crazy fatigue. So she says, your lab work other than your blood sugars looks pretty normal. Let's run a CT scan and see what's going on. So they do the CT scan. When they tell me how that went, the first thing they go is, you have fatty liver disease. Wow. So that's a 1-2 punch. You got diabetes and you got liver disease. That's pretty awesome. Oh, and you have a massive kidney stone in your kidney. Oh, that would explain things. So the kidney stone led to blood, led to me going to the doctor, led to a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. This is now the fall of 2021. So I'll pick up part 2 when I go to the doctor and talk to him about what we're going to do. And we're going to unpack this why I can't lose weight thing together. So part 2 of why the heck can't I lose weight, which could also be called stop telling me to eat keto. In the first video, I told you basically about my diabetes diagnosis, my fatty liver diagnosis, and how I got there. Now we're about to go to my primary care doctor and figure out how we're going to tackle the treatment plan. But before we do that, I think it's important to give you a little bit of background about my weight struggles my whole life, because I did struggle with my weight my whole life. And that's why I said I would eat keto about, I'd say 3 to 6 months out of every year from the time I was about 18 years old to the time that I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 36. And so if you go back, you want to find out like my first, aversion to carbohydrates. So I was not a really fat kid, but I was, maybe had a little bit of a tummy where a lot of my friends didn't. But, not like abnormally. It was never like a doctors were concerned type of thing or anything like that. Just a little, thicker. But I noticed it enough to be like, I've got a little pudge and I don't want to. And so, I'm like maybe 10 years old, 12 years old at the time. And I remember I was eating an orange, and I asked the person that I was talking to, I was like, this is a healthy choice, right? I'm eating an orange. And the response that I got was, that's nothing but empty carbs. And I was like, carbs? What is carbs? So this was the first time that I ever learned about any sort of macronutrient. And I learned that carbs were bad. So immediately, I think in my mind, I wired fruit is unhealthy. That's really, I think, where it kind of started for me. So I go through high school. Again, I didn't really struggle with my weight too much. I was fairly active. But after graduation, or I want to say maybe, yeah, I graduated and I put on a little bit of weight. I always worked in restaurants. So literally from the time I was about 14, I worked at Arby's, and then just worked my way up through restaurants, honestly, until like I was like 30. And so that didn't help the situation either. So I was a little bit heavier after a year out of school, out of high school, and I learned about the Atkins diet. So I eat the Atkins diet for, I don't know, a few months, and I'm just stacking cheeseburgers, with no bun, 5 patties deep. And I'm losing a tremendous amount of weight. I had my highest weight at that time was 225, and I got all the way down to 175 pounds. And that's when I really cemented in my head, carbohydrates are what make you fat. So of course, like 95% of the people who eat a ketogenic diet, I couldn't sustain it. So I put all that weight back on, and then probably some. And this really started this cycle of every single year I would do keto for 3 months, 6 months at a time. And I would be able to take off 30 pounds, but then I'd put back on 45, lose 30, gain 45, lose 30, gain 45. And I literally did this all the way up until that year that I got my kidney stone. In fact, I think the kidney stone was brought on by, the fact that I was eating a lot of almonds, nuts. But yeah, it wasn't the first time I had gotten a kidney stone, and I think that it had to do with the ketogenic diet. But that is the year that I was diagnosed with diabetes, and that was what the first video is about. So now I go to my doctor, and my doctor is a very smart guy, a very well-meaning guy, but he is an absolute keto zealot. So he's like, here's what we're going to do. If you don't want to go on medications, which I didn't, I had articulated that. I said, I want to do this with diet. He goes, keto, 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 keto. We got a program, keto, 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 keto. So I said, I'm willing to do that, especially if it's going to keep me off medication. But I want you to know that from a weight standpoint, and at this time, I was at my highest weight. I was at 319. I said, I don't lose weight on it. I don't lose weight eating a ketogenic diet. I just don't lose weight. And he said, well, we'll get you in this program. You'll do the program. You'll lose the weight. If you don't, you'll be a complete anomaly. So I said, all right, well, let's do it. A full year of eating keto. And in this full year of eating keto, my A1C was brought down to a normal level, which was great. My insulin levels were still off the charts, which was a little puzzling to me. And essentially, I lost 7 pounds in a year of being very strict about my diet. I was getting movement, I was lifting weights, I was doing all the things. But I was white knuckling it just like I had white knuckled it my whole life. But I thought this time I can just keep white knuckling it, because I know that I need to beat this diabetes, because what I was being told was you can put your diabetes into remission. So I went that full year on keto, lost 7 pounds, 319 to 312. And that had me feeling extremely defeated, extremely frustrated, and at the absolute end of my rope with my weight loss journey. And so we'll pick up on the next video at where I was kind of mentally exactly 1 year after my diabetes diagnosis in November of 2022. Part 3 of Why the Heck Can't I Lose Weight? To catch up, I've got parts 1 and part 2 in a playlist. But this story picks up at my 1 year appointment for my type 2 diabetes follow-up. It was at this point that my doctor was scratching his head. He has a whole keto program. I had done it religiously for a year. He had monitored my sugars religiously for a year via my continuous glucose monitor. He knew that I wasn't eating carbs, because you cannot fool a glucose monitor. My weight had gone from 319 pounds to 312 pounds in 1 full year of strict keto. Insulin levels were still off the charts. So it was at this point that my doctor said, hey, Dave, it's probably going to have to be surgery for you. You're going to be somebody who's probably going to require surgery to get to where you need to be. And I said, you know what, doc, I'm game for whatever is going to get me to where I need to be. I just want to be healthy. And so I looked into it. Didn't have coverage at the time for any sort of bariatric surgery. But after talking to my doctor a little bit more, he said, well, here's the deal. There's these medicines. They're called GLP-1s. GLP-1 is a hormone that's made in your gut, and it's one of those hormones out of the hundreds that your body makes that contribute to obesity, contribute to hunger, contribute to those kind of signaling between the gut and the brain. And he said, these are hormones that are being found to be restored in people who are obese, like pretty much immediately after having weight loss surgery. So he says, really, weight loss surgery works because it helps with these hormones that most people who are obese or metabolically sick are deficient in, or let's say dysregulated is probably a better word for it. So he said, there's this new one comes out that has just come out for diabetes. It's called Mounjaro. I want you to look into it. So I look into it and I start obsessing. I'm like, this is amazing. I can't believe that these medications exist. I said, yeah, doc, put me on it. So I get on the 2.5 milligram dose. I don't feel much of anything on the medication. I feel like at the time as I took the medication, I definitely could feel like a lack of hunger, a more rapid feeling of fullness, these types of things. But the interesting thing, I'm a little distracted. The police just showed up in my neighborhood here, and see what that's about. They're not here for me. That's all that matters. So I end up moving up pretty quickly through the doses because I tolerated it really well. And what I found very fast, because I moved up to the 15 within about 4 months of taking the medication. That was because the middle doses weren't available. And so, moved up pretty quick. All right. So I, by March of 2023, was able to effortlessly, I mean effortlessly, I was done with the white knuckling. I was going to let the medicine do for me what it was going to do for me. And I was just done with diets. I was done with extreme exercise. I've done that off and on for 20 years. It's put my body through the absolute ringer. So I was just done with it. And so with no effort at all, pretty much I got down from 312 to 276 pounds. So I learned that when my hormones are behaving the way that they should be, I'm able to lose some weight. So that was really great until I had to start to titrate back because of migraines. So I got really bad migraines, had to move way back in dose, all the way down to 5 milligrams. And then I slowly titrated back up. But over this time, unfortunately, I gained some weight again because I think that the lower doses weren't as effective for me as the higher dose was. And so I moved back in these doses, gained some weight back, went all the way back up to let's say from 276 at my lowest to probably about 285, and then got back on the 15 milligram dose ultimately, spent a couple of months there, and my weight crept up on the 15 milligram to 295. So now I'm back up to almost 300 pounds. It was at this point I went to my doctor and I said, these medications aren't doing it. Can we stack different things? The stacking the medications didn't help with other treatments that were available. So we decided to try out semaglutide, so I went on Ozempic. I've been actually on Ozempic for the last 3 months, and my weight fluctuates between 295 and 3. So I was able to maintain, it's like my body went back up and was fighting for that set point at 300 pounds. And so that's really where I'm fighting now is just moving back down. And so I actually started Mounjaro again this week. I'm to 12.5 milligram is where I jump back in. I took it on Thursday or Friday of last week. It is now a Monday afternoon, and I really don't feel a whole lot. I don't feel any side effects. I would not even know that there's medication in my body. So at this point, it's very clear to me that my body, for the physiology that I'm fighting against, the broken biology that I'm fighting against, I'm probably going to need weight loss surgery. It's a very sobering thing to think about having my anatomy rearranged. I can't be alone in that. I know that I've been encouraged by many in the community who are like, I did it. I don't regret it. Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. And I do have coverage for it now. I really wish I could get access to the high doses of these medications and some of the more new age drugs. And I may try to get on a clinical trial if it's possible. But it's hard to get on a clinical trial for an obesity medicine when you've been on a GLP-1 for a period of time. So that's where we're sitting at right now. Very frustrating. But I'm exploring my options, right? In the meantime, I'm increasing my movement. I'm really tracking a lot with the Flex app, and just trying to be very intentional right now. So I'm happy that I haven't, in the last 3 months being off Mounjaro, even though I've been on Ozempic, that I didn't really gain, that I kind of maintained where I was, but I want to get back to that loss. So we'll see what happens. This is where I'm at now. Why the heck can't I lose weight? Broken biology. Broken biology is a real tough thing to fight when you've been in a 20-year battle with obesity and all of a sudden your metabolic system is haywire. So we're learning so much more about these medications. That's why I'm so dedicated to this channel. That's why I'm so dedicated to the science, to studying things as they come out, new data as it comes out, because I know that there's something broken within me. I know that my disease has not been caused solely because I'm just a terrible, amoral person who can't put the fork down, right? And so I'm here to educate as I am educated myself, to share that knowledge. If you stuck around for this long, that's a very long time. That's probably a new world record for a TikTok video. Thank you for being here. Make sure that you like, save, and share this with somebody who might find it helpful.